Fans of AuthentiKit, welcome back. A double welcome, in fact. Firstly, to you Warbird fans who've been building P-51 equipment like this, or Spitfire controls, or Mosquito, BF-109, P-40B, the list goes on. And secondly, a very warm welcome to you folks flying GA aircraft who are keen to get your hands on this brand new TPM control. A faithful replica of the PA-24 Comanche throttle, prop, mixture and park brake control. I'd like to express my sincere thanks to A2A Simulations for sharing CAD from their design studio, as that was used to design the appearance of the controls as well as their placement. I'd also like to thank SimHanger, who you probably know has a great YouTube channel and was in fact the original impetus for this control. Phil said, you know what people would really like? A nice TPM control. So here it is, our very first GA control, and I'm rather proud of it. It's a very strong unit, very precise and with a great feel. There's a real sense of mechanical resistance when you use it. Although it's designed for a Comanche, these knobs are interchangeable. So if you'd like to use this with a Cessna, a 152, 172, 177, various Beechcraft, Mooney aircraft, you can do. In fact, I've already designed and included a carb heat knob with the free download for this unit, which looks really nice for a 152 setup. Now, fans of AuthentiKit, and there's over 2,000 of you now, will know that AuthentiKit does not just build individual controls. All controls plug into one of these universal hubs. And the aim for all aircraft supported by AuthentiKit is to provide at least the following controls. So we've got a flight stick. Okay, that doesn't apply to the Comanche, but I think it would be nice to have one for a Cub, a Piper Cub, a Super Cub. The throttle, yes, we have that. Elevator trim, that will be worked on, and A2A have given me the CAD for it. Same for the rudder trim, I've got the CAD. Flaps, likewise, I've got the CAD. And in fact, I've also got a crude prototype. H6, that's the gear lever. That's very well progressed, and the TPM has mounting points for that. H7 will be the magneto and starter. That's also very well progressed. The TPM's got mounting points for it. And H8 will be the carb heat, and the TPM's got mounting points for that. I'm in two minds at the moment whether to include the primer as part of that as a unit. Now, the cool thing about AuthentiKit is that by far the most expensive part in all of this is the circuit board in here, and it appears just once in this universal hub. So when you're looking to add things on, say the magneto starter or perhaps this gear lever, it's very low cost. Now, my calculation based on this prototype is that all the hardware bits for this unit would cost less than £10, and the printed parts are easily printed in one smallish batch. Now, I'd think that our friends at SimKit Supplies should be able to sell an add-on for this for around £20, and that's all inclusive, with the printed parts as well. Now, this brings me very nicely to a huge milestone for AuthentiKit. But first, let me explain for new folks the different options for getting your hands on one of these TPMs. First and foremost, this is freeware hardware, and you have to assemble this yourself from 3D printed parts and some hardware bits. You're watching the assembly video, and I'm about to show you how easy it is. These are the tools that you'll need. A pair of scissors, a ruler, in fact you don't even need the ruler, and any old screwdriver that's just got a flat tip to it. There is a free download linked to in the description, and you'll get a zip file like this. Documentation and CAD for 3D printing the parts, and in the documentation there's assembly instructions and a list of all the hardware that you can buy. Mostly off Amazon or eBay. Having said that, there are a few dozen different items, so it's often a lot easier and almost always cheaper to buy a kit of hardware from our friends at SimKit Supplies. How about the 3D printing side? Now, if you're daunted, you may be interested to know that when I surveyed the AuthentiKit community a while back, only 55% of the responders said that they already had a 3D printer before AuthentiKit, which means a lot of people only got into 3D printing because of AuthentiKit. Okay, still not sure you can print these parts yourself? Well, do not worry, because I'm on a mission to make AuthentiKit as accessible as possible to the flight sim community. So that leads me to today's big milestone. I've arranged with Ruben at SimKit Supplies that for the first time ever, he can provide an all-inclusive kit. Not only the hardware, but the printed parts too. Everything you need to get one of these working in your simulator is included in this box. And I've pushed him very hard on the price as well. It's £135 plus P&P. So let's open it up and get building. I'm going to build from the all-inclusive kit from SimKit Supplies, but it doesn't make any difference whether you printed it yourself or bought the kit. It's the same steps. Even if you did buy the all-inclusive kit, by the way, you will still need to go to our download site. The link's in the description. Register as a member, and that will let you obtain the assembly guide, the zip file I mentioned earlier, the assembly guide, the wiring diagram, which we've got there, and it'll also give you access to support if you need it. And a final reminder, this is not a project for the workshop, this is a project for the kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon. It should take you not much more than an hour. Okay, let's get going. This is my first unboxing on the AuthentiKit channel. And this is what we have. Okay, a nice glossy flyer. Yeah, I don't know how well you can read that green on grey. It's not brilliant for me. But don't worry, that one says, I'll put these links actually in the description. That just points to the warranty for SimKit Supplies, and that points to a link which is the same as the QR, which is the same as the download link which is in this description. So don't worry about those if they don't stand out very well. So a bit of blurb anyway. And then underneath the cover we have this. Two main sections. We've got the TPM itself and the universal hub. And in the bubble wrap here, a whole bunch of printed parts. Let's get those out. Okay, we've got... This is lovely print quality, by the way. I'll do a close-up in a second, and I'd just like to point out that what I showed you at the start had been printed by me on the Prusa, which is a good printer. This has been printed by SimKit Supplies on a much more expensive printer, and it's very smooth. It's a very good quality. So I'll just overlay that on the screen now. Very, very nice. Is that the same? Is it the same here? Yes, it is. Very, very smooth. Brilliant. Okay, so printed parts there. Then in the universal hub box we have circuit board. That's the clever brains of it all. Bunch of hardware bits and some tools. We'll come to tools in a second. We have the PC interface, that's just a regular USB. And then we have the USB hub. Just one thing to point out, that Ruben said he'd printed off a bunch of slightly different versions of the universal hub. So if you're one of the early people to get one of these, it may look a little bit like that. This is the version that allows for some little clips to hold the wires down over here. It kind of improves things a little bit, not at all critical though. So that's why yours may look slightly different. But that's the standard one. So that's the box there. And then let's take this out. Here is the, oh, here we go. In fact, there's one of your tools. That is the screwdriver, and I'll show you how that works in a second. Let's put that out of the way. And in here, let's just peel these off. Okay. So there's the lid for the TPM. There's the connector between the TPM and the universal hub, just one for this throttle. Clamps for your desk. Some chunky hardware. And then some parts. These are essentially the innards, the main innards of the TPM. And we will start with the assembly. So the first thing I recommend is to gather your tools. The first item is a screwdriver with a PH2 bit. Now, any Phillips head screwdriver might do, but a few of these things are a lot easier to assemble if you use the right one. That I showed you earlier is the screwdriver handle, and if we look in this bag of tools here, we have a PH2, and that slots in there. Very nice. There is also a, where is it now? There it is, stuck to the magnet. There's also a PH1, and that's a much finer tip, and you will find it a lot easier to use the right one for the right thing. So there's a PH1, and that's item 1 and 2. You also need a red-blue magnet, which is here. You need a wire stripper. Now you may have a fancy one. I do, but I find this is easier for the kind of wire stripping we're doing. So you get one of those included. Do you have to provide anything yourself? Yes, a pair of scissors, a ruler. Now I did say earlier that you don't strictly need a ruler, and the reason for that is this sheet of A4 is 30 centimeters long, and that's pretty much 25. And the dimensions, the lengths that we need are kind of easy multiples of that. So if you don't have a ruler handy, we can use this as a measuring device. So in fact, I may even use that out of preference. A ruler, ordinary flat blade screwdriver. I've just got this thing. I don't know where that came from, had it for years, but that'll do nicely. Smallish is good, and just a flat blade. I also recommend a task light. Some of the stuff we're doing is small. You don't need a magnifying glass or anything, but I find a good bit of light. So this is one of these USB things. It plugs in. I've got it plugged. Anyway, it's USB. So I'm going to have that here. You might see that in the camera a bit, and I'll be pointing that at certain things on occasion. I won't go through all the plastic parts right now. I'll show you them as we need them, but I will take out some of the parts from the hardware. We've got the Hall sensors, we've got the RJ45 sockets, a piece of felt, and bag of screws. Now, I would recommend at this point that you familiarize yourself with these screws, because they're different lengths, and using the wrong length of screw can be damaging. So I'll explain what we have. The main one to really differentiate is the M4, these countersunk M4 screws, and they're clearly wider than the M3. We've got this very short one, which is silver, and that's 6mm long. Then we have a slightly longer one, which is black, and that's 8mm, and then there's longer again, which is 10mm. So don't confuse the 8s and the 10s, and you won't have any trouble confusing those with the 14s, which is silver again. So apart from that, everything is kind of obvious, so I won't go through that. And just to finish things off, we have a bunch of bearings, some ferrules, that's what I call them anyway, DuPont cables, we have some wire, 3 hydraulic dampers, a ball spring, and a micro switch. That's the hardware. So that's all in the box, but if you want to source it yourself, then the descriptions for what these things are exactly and how to get them are in the download. Now that was actually step 1, to familiarize yourself with the screws, so let's move on to step 2. We're going to fit some parts together finally. We're going to fit the throttle and the prop bushes. Now that's what they are. They're the same, even though they've got different file names if you're printing them. And they're going to use 2 M4 6mm screws. So these are the silvery ones here. You can see how nicely they can be held by a PH2 screwdriver. So let's get 4 of those out, and we're going to be fitting these throttle and prop bushes to this case. So we'll take all these innards out. Okay, and they're going to go here, over there and over there. And they're going from the inside. Now one tip for screwing into 3D printed parts, particularly if the angle for fastening it is a little bit awkward, as it is slightly here, is just to check beforehand that the screw goes in nicely and it's got a good thread on it. Rather than finding that the thread's a little bit tricky, hasn't printed too well, or anything that makes it a little bit complicated when your maneuverability is reduced. So that's going in pretty well. Those are quite clean. Right, here we go. So I find it easier to do this. Put the screwdriver in there and then fit the first one. Okay, I'll fit both of them before I tighten them up. Okay, that's good. And then, there we go, that should tighten nice and strong. This is a tricky one to tighten later, by the way, so I'd make sure it's a good firm grip. That's not going anywhere. Okay, repeat on the other one. Okay, that's the other one in. And that was the PH2, remember, the fatter one, not the thinner one. Okay, there's an assembly step done finally. Okay, we're up to step 3 now. Very similar. These are the mixture and the park brake bushes, so they're a little bit smaller, and they use M3 and 3 6mm screws. So these are tiny little screws here. So we'll switch to this tiny little PH1 screwdriver, which very nicely holds those. That's handy. This PH1's got a little bit of magnetism to it. Makes it easy to pick things out of the tray. Right, so let's get these little bushes popped on. That's where they're going, these 2 holes here, and then that'll complete the set of 4. These 2 in particular are a little bit tricky because they are right down there. So let me show you how I find it easiest. Take that little bit holder without the end piece on it and just grab the screw like that, and we will pop it through. Okay, that's in there. And then let's thread that on. It's quite snug actually, that's good. And then we can get the other one in. Just line it up. You can't see that really, can you? But I'll just line that up. And then the other one, again, just get it. Okay, like that. Now we will give it a little bit of a tighten. There we go, doesn't need a lot. Perfect, perfect, that's one. And the other one, again, it's easier just to hold it with the bit. Just to get one in. Okay. And now we'll just give them a little bit of a nip. Yep, that's perfect and great. And there we go, all 4 bushes. The next 2 steps involve fitting some felt to this box, and we've got step 4, then step 5. So step 4, tiny piece, 27 by 27, like round about an inch by an inch, and that's going to fit here, just to the side of the park brake. That's where the park brake's going to be, and there's that little section there. So if you don't have a ruler, you can just kind of measure it just by putting the felt to it. So yeah, you can see it's basically there, that distance there. So make a square that size. I have a ruler, you probably do too, so let's just measure it. Okay, there we have it, around about 27 by 27, a little bit less, that's fine. Okay, let's fit that. And it goes down at the bottom. Hopefully we can, let's get a bit of light on it. It goes right down there. So that's the park brake felt. And then step 5, we've got 3 rectangles of felt, 50mm. Now this is 50mm felt, so that's not something we need to worry about dimension wise, and it's 90mm that we're cutting. Now 90mm is basically just a bit less than that thickness. So again, if you don't have a ruler, what we're actually doing is cutting something to the width, or slightly less than the width of the inside of the box. Okay, 3 pieces. Okay, 3 pieces, 90mm. Just a fraction more. That's okay. I won't take the back off just yet, just to show you. That's where they go up. This one goes against that wall there. This one, it's a little bit of a slope here, so it's just up against like that, and then the same on this one. So number one. That's number one. Number two. Good enough, yeah. Number three. Okay, before I move on, I'll just try and get some really good light on this, because I know it's kind of black on black and that's not very easy to see, but hopefully that works now, and you can see that the felt is up to the edge here. It stops here just before a slightly raised bit, and then there's a screw hole just in from it. Same there. Doesn't protrude onto that sort of curved bit, well, not by much, doesn't matter critically if it does. And again, stops short of that little slightly raised area and the screw hole, and then, well, you can see where that is. So that's how it should look, and you can see that the felt, that's just a little bit short of the side here, and sort of slightly closer here, and slightly a little bit at an angle there, but you know, perfection is not critical for this bit. So now we come up to a very interesting part of the assembly. This is kind of the unique engineering of this piece of kit. We're going to be assembling what's called a MagHall yoke, and it's the mixture MagHall yoke. We're going to make 3 of these actually, so the process I do right now, that will provide the mixture MagHall, and it's the MagHall that provides us with the input, the positional input to the simulator. And then we'll repeat it with some slightly different wire lengths. That's the only difference for the throttle and then for the prop. We're going to be using a Hall sensor, that's what they look like, some wire, and these 3 printed parts, these tiny parts here, this is the MagHall, and we're going to be using some bearings, some magnets, some of these little ferrules, and we'll need some tools. We'll need the little red blue magnet, and we'll need our tiny PH1 screwdriver. Well, a few minutes ago that was falling out. Anyway, what I was going to say to you, that what I did was I just took a tiny sliver of the backing of that felt and just put that there, and that just gives a slightly snugger fit. You may find something similar happening. So let's get going. We're going to fit the Hall sensor to the MagHall base. So there it is, and you can see how there's a direction to that slot there, and in goes the MagHall, the Hall sensor, slots in like that, and it recesses about a couple of mil. And on the back we have to bend over these legs and sort of splay them out a bit. So they go out like that, and again a small screwdriver is kind of handy, and push the legs like this, so that hopefully there isn't too much sort of slop and play. I mean, there'll be some, and that'll disappear when everything gets snug, but just pressing these legs over makes it a good fit. Okay, so now we need some wire, we need some blue, white and red. So 15 centimeters of blue, white and red. Now I told you don't need a ruler, didn't I? Because I've just checked, and 15 centimeters is the length of that line, an all-inclusive kit from Simulation Kit Supplies. So that will do. Let's cut those 3 like that. Now it's very important you get the order: red, blue, white, RBW. Remember, RBW. Don't get it wrong. Pull back about 4 mil. Yeah, it's about 4 mil. Give it a twist. Take one of these little ferrules. Now this is where I recommend having lots of light. RBW. Right, take one of these and thread on one of these little ferrules. You can get away with folding it over a touch, actually, so it should hold on without dropping off, which is something that happens very easily doing this. And then we thread it over the leg, and we want to slide the whole thing forward until it's that sort of position. I'll just put something on the screen here that shows you that there is a recess. There's a little kind of recessed part round about here, just about that point in this base, where I'm going to crush that ferrule, and it will sort of sink in and submerge a little bit. So we're at that point now. We put that in here, and then we, with our screwdriver or something pointy, we give this a good old crush. And you can kind of see it's dropped in, and it should be tight. Now it's not tight yet, so let's give this a good old press. Yep, that's good, that's good. Now the wire is grabbing the leg. The whole leg itself is still slightly wobbly, but that's okay. And then we'll bend that leg up here, and we can push that wire insulation. It sort of gets nipped a little bit by the side wall of the base. Okay, and then when we later on, that's going to get pressed down, and that'll be quite snug. So that is not coming loose. That's the important thing there. So that's the first one, red, RBW. Repeat for the next one. Is that 4 mil? It'll be okay. Like I say, lots of light's the key here. I don't have the best eyes, but a lot of light helps. I haven't done the little foldy over bit. I should get away with it. Push it to the same sort of point. Ooh. Slide that back to that point. Yeah, about the same point. And then crush it in. A really good crush. That's better. Now that's a good crush. You can kind of see that the leg's bent a little bit and it's depressed in. It's probably what I was aiming for the first time. So that's better than the last one. So that's 2 in. RBW, RBW. That's not quite enough. Go again. There we go. Maybe it's more like 5 mil. And then, yeah, I think I'll fold. Easier if you can fold a little wire over at the end so you don't lose it. Slide it on. No, I think that's good. Okay, and then fold these wires up. Now ideally the insulation just goes across the edge of the plastic here, because that will, the grip of the slot there will grip the insulation and hold everything a bit snugger. But I think we'll be okay with that. And then what you can do, if you like, I don't know, you might be precious about your scissors, unless you've got proper snippers, is you can take a little bit off here. But you don't need to. And then I'm just going to check again. That's holding tight. Good. A little bit fiddly, lots of light helps. So that is a MagHall assembled with wires, RBW. Right, screw the base to the yoke with 2 M2s. Right, here's the yoke. And wires pointing to the larger hole. There's the larger hole. And it's going to screw into here. Now I'm going to be using M2s, 8 mils, which are tiny little things. There we go. And then another one. And I think what I'll do is just test the thread before I start, make sure that the thread goes in easily enough. Yep. Yeah, it's going in. Right. So these go down here. And this screws into here. Okay, and the 3 wires are by that larger hole. So it's a lot easier if you use the PH1 screwdriver. You can put things in place quite well. Yeah, very good. Okay, so that's C completed, and thread the 3 wires through the larger hole and out the side. Now, I've tried this different ways, 1 wire at a time and so on, but it seems to work best now if you just put all 3 wires at the same time, pop them in, thread them through, and with a bit of luck, yay, there they go, they'll pop out. And then carefully, because we don't want to sort of yank the wires out from the fittings, we pull them all through. I think I'll pull the, well, they're going to cross over each other. It's a bit of a shame. Would have been nice if they didn't knot each other, but it's not really any harm. Okay, step E. I'm going to get one of these magnets out. There we go. Okay, so we've got our magnet. Now we need to orientate it as per the video, and I'll show you what that is. Basically, we want to know the north side of it. So what we do is we take another magnet with the north-south, and the blue is the south, and whatever side connects with the south is the north. Now, we need to make sure we don't lose that. Now, this is what I recommend. Take a screwdriver or something metallic and put it on top of the face. Well, do what I'm doing now. And then pull away carefully the south, and we know that the north is there now. Not there, there. The side that the south was touching. And then we need to drop that into this peg, and you can see the peg has a little dimple on one side. And I'm going to have the north face go towards that dimple, like that. Okay, and then I press this in, and it should require a little bit of encouragement to press in until it's smooth. There we go. Yeah, I don't want that sticking out. So there's our peg and the magnet, nice and flush, not protruding from the base. And the final part of E, which is to finish this peg, is to slide over the 6700 bearing. Now, it's a funny thing when you print small things with a 3D printer. I find that you can get sort of slightly unpredictable results. Sometimes the bearing feels a little bit loose as it goes on the peg, and sometimes another print, maybe even on the same print bed, feels a bit tight. This feels a bit on the tight side, and it's a small thing. It's hard to sort of get some pressure on it. But a tip is to use that. That was the prop. It's got a hole in, and if you just lean on it, there you go. You can press that nice and flush so that the bearing goes right down to the base. And then the last part of E is to fit the cap over the 6700 bearing. So that's that on there, and that is actually, that goes in nicely. That's not too tight, not too loose. That's just what you want. Okay, so that's that little unit there. Rotates nicely around there. And then F is to fit the cap bearing magnet to the base. It doesn't matter which way round, either way is fine. With 2 M2 12mm screws. 2 of those, and then PH1 screwdriver makes things easier. We just fit that over here. Okay, so that should tighten up really quite tightly, and then the peg should rotate nice and freely. Shouldn't be any grip going on there. If there is, you might want to take those 2 screws off and make sure that you've pressed the peg and the bearing tighter in and nice and snug. It could be that it's just not quite seated, but that is moving very freely. Okay, last step on this page. G, fit a 684 bearing. That's those. They fit M4 screws like that. Either side of the yoke with 2 M4 14mm countersunks. So those are the silvery ones. They're the longest of these M4 size. So they go like that. And we're going to use not the PH1 screwdriver, but the PH2 for this one. That doesn't fall out, that's good. And we put it on like that. So there's 2 screw holes, one either side, and we thread it on like this. Should go on, yep, nice and strong, and then the bearing rotates very freely. Great. Okay, progressing well on our MagHall yoke. We're now going to fit a damper. That's one of these, to the opposite side to where the MagHall was. And it just goes in like that. And then you've got these smallish M3 screws. And you'll need the smaller PH1 screwdriver, and then they should screw on nice and easily. And then towards the last few threads they should tighten up. Okay, that's good, that's on nice and firmly. And then the last bit is to fit a cog to the MagHall peg. So there's a flat side, a little sort of D shape, and we fit that onto it like that. And then that's the tiny silver M4 screw. So we'll just put that on. And that should go quite tight, and then that should rotate very freely. There shouldn't be any slack either. Perfect, absolutely perfect. So that's what we're looking for. We're just going to make 2 more of those now, exactly the same, red, blue, white, same as that, but with 40 centimeters of red, blue, white wire. And if you don't have a ruler, 40 centimeters is the length of this glossy brochure, and then turn the corner and up to about the middle of the S. That's 40 centimeters. Certainly good enough anyway. Okay, just about there with the second MagHall. This is the throttle, actually. One thing just to point out, I'll just pick out a few little things that I spot that you may encounter, is putting the M2 12mm screw into this slot here. It's a little bit rough, you know, if you can possibly see it there, just the opening. Just use the Phillips screwdriver and just kind of clean it out like that. That's fine. Yeah, perfect. Little tip there. So that's step 7, the throttle MagHall yoke with the 40 centimeters of wire. And step 8 is, again, it's exactly the same, but a key difference is we're not using red, blue, white, we're using red, black, green. And just to be completely clear, when I say red, black, green, or red, blue, white, it's the order from the left. Red, then black, then green. Just like it was red, blue, white. Sorry to be pedantic about this, but you don't want to get this wrong at this stage. So I'm always saying to myself, red, blue, white, or red, black, green. And how about the length? Well, it's 45 centimeters, which is roughly 1.5 of the little glossy sheet. So there's 1.5, and that is good enough. So that's 45 centimeters of red, black, green. And a final thing, it kind of occurred to me that I've not really been very clear about. When I say strip the wire, how am I doing it? It is purely my fingernail. It's very soft, the silicone. I'm just grabbing it like that and giving it a tight twist. That's how I'm doing it. Okay, now here's another thing that I realize I've neglected to make a point of so far. When you've put these together, it's really important that you don't have any stray wires. That's why I twist the wires at the start. You don't want the fraying. So take a close look, get plenty of light on it, and make sure that there aren't any frays of wire that cross from one peg or one leg over to another one. So you can see that's not an issue here. They're all within the channels or to the side, but not at all crossing. Okay, if you've got to this stage, very well done. There are a few more steps, but really this is the meat of it. These are the fiddliest parts. Everything else is just slotting things in, put a few screws together. So well done, we're making very good progress. Okay, we're up to step 9 now. We're going to assemble the mixture knob. So we're going to do some fun stuff. Here we go then. These are the parts that make up the mixture knob. You have the mixture knob back, which has got a kind of hex fitting in it. The mixture knob front, and then this mixture knob join piece. So hopefully you can see there. One of these shafts, although it's a hex bolt, but it kind of acts as a shaft for the throttle, is going to go through that hole and right through. But you can see that the hole doesn't go all the way through. Now that's just part of the design, a way that this part was designed. And we're going to simply punch through that very thin, very weak little single filament layer. And the way we're going to do that is just with a screwdriver here, push it through from this side would be best. And I'm just going to push that through and give it a twist. And in fact, that's the PH1. PH2 might be slightly better, a little bit fatter. And just try and break away any of those little strands. Right, you can kind of see now, goes right through. Okay, and then slide one of the shorter, so we've got 4 bolts here, shorter ones, longer ones. Slide one of the shorter ones, it's 100mm long, through here. Seat it in here, and then we just have to rotate until we find, there we go, we find the position that it'll allow the bolt head to slide right through. Okay, there it is. That was B. Screw the join in here, so the slot is on the top, so that just goes like that, and then screwdriver can be helpful, doesn't need too much, just to make that nice and snug. Yep. And then the knob on the front goes on like that. And that should close up nice and flush. Beautiful. Very nice, I'm happy with that. Okay, let's do number 10. That's the throttle knob. We're using one of the longer bolts this time, and we slot it through. Now this particular design doesn't involve a push through, sort of breakthrough filament layer. So we can just pop this in here and slide it and get it seated properly. It shouldn't rotate when it's properly seated. And then one of these two things is going in. It's the bigger one. So that goes on like that. And then that should press up nice and tight. Yep, shouldn't be any slack. That's a throttle knob. Finally the prop, that's another one of the longer 120s. Pop that through there. And then use this one here, and that, yep, and that should be tight as well. That was easy, wasn't it? And a lot of fun. Now even more fun is to put these together. So we start with the mixture knob. Okay, so we slide the mixture knob through the mixture bush. Now we position this MagHall yoke and cog this way with the wires coming towards us, and this back tooth here, if you can see that hopefully, of the toothed rail, like that. I'm hoping that's visible. And then we can slide this in here and start to tighten it in. It goes easily at first. There's no tightener in it at first, and then when you get to a certain point, kind of when all the threads have disappeared inside the yoke, then it starts to tighten. And keep going. When you feel it tighten, give it a little bit more. There we go. Right. So what that means now is that we can slide the mixture knob all the way flush to the bush, and it'll slide along here, and there's clear free travel of that cog. Okay, 13. We have 3 identical rails. They're called rail left hand side, and we're going to use any one of them. And we're going to position it, there's kind of a flat side here and a rounded off side. We're going to position it so the rounded off side is uppermost, and it slots in and over the left hand, I'll try and point this out to you, over the left hand bearing. Okay, like that. And now we take the black M4 10mm long, so that's the longer of the 2 black screws, and we screw that rail in from the front It's the 2 screws here to the left of the red mixture knob. And 2 more at the back. I'm kind of putting them in loosely at first. Okay, so that's in, moving smoothly. Right, and I'll just tighten them up now. Done. 14 is mixture rail M. That's an easy one. It's got an M on it, and that goes to the right of the MagHall yoke unit. And again, there's a slot here that the bearing, the right bearing from that unit will go over. It goes like that, and then this little lip here goes over the top of that damper. And again, you get 4 of these M4 screws, 10mm long again, which hold it. Okay, now here's a moment of truth. I know we haven't got this connected up yet, but right now you can find out what this is going to feel like. Oh, you know what I've done? It's probably a good thing I did this. You may do the same. I have allowed that yoke to slide, to sort of slip in its position before I tightened this rail. You can see what happens. Remember at the start I said that that tooth should be over to the left? Well, it's shifted. I've let it slide. What I need to do, and there's no other way around it, is to take this rail off, take it to one side. Let's get some light on this. There's just enough play for me to pull the cog free so that when the mixture knob is fullest in, the tooth over here is right at the end. So let's just test now that I've got full travel without anything catching here. Okay, so let's not make that mistake again. Right, let's try once more. Lovely smooth action. Yep, and we have full travel of the yoke. It goes all the way flush to the wall here, and then all the way back. Perfect. And that feels really good. That does feel really good. Okay, that was number 14, and 15 and 16, 17, 18, 19. It's basically the same step, just repeated. So you've got the hang of it now, haven't you? So now it's the turn of the throttle knob. We slide that through here. Now actually it's not sliding in too easily because there's a little tightener, just a tiny bit of tightening inside that bush. But once it's in, the movement's quite smooth. Just a little bit of tightening just to take up any slack. So same as before, and you'll be watching closely now, won't you? We need to make sure that the wires point this way on this yoke. It's the red, blue, white ones for the throttle. We need to put the teeth. Now you can't actually see the teeth in here because they're hidden under here, but you can kind of see there that we've got the teeth all the way to the end, and if we just do this here, yeah, we get full travel. That's not a problem. Now in goes the throttle knob, tighten it in. I'm going to give it just another twist there. I want to be able to push the throttle knob so it goes flush to the bush here, which it wouldn't do if it wasn't screwed in a little bit further. And let's just watch those teeth again. Do we get the full travel? Yes, we do. That's good. Right, I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm going to keep that in position now while I put another one of these left-hand rails, roundy bit to the top, drop that in here, slide it over the bearing, 4 more of the black longer M4 10mm. Now if you have a Phillips head screwdriver with a longer handle on it, or a longer shaft actually, it's a little easier just because of this getting in the way of the throttle knob and not getting a straight line on it. You can do it, but this is one situation where another screwdriver makes things just a little bit easier. Very good. Now we use throttle rail T, and that goes on just like throttle rail M. Okay. Don't need a huge amount of force with these screws. There's a good length of them and they'll hold tight. Right, let's see if that feels as good as the mixture. Very much so. And then repeat again with the prop. Wires to the front. Got the teeth way over to the left hand side, that's what we want. In goes the prop. Again, a little bit tight at first, I'm having to screw this in, but then it just slides with just a nice bit of friction really. And then in we go. Now the design of the prop handle means that when the prop is fully in, the yoke doesn't go anywhere near to the end. So you just get a bit less travel with the prop. Okay, another rail left hand side, roundy bit to the top. 4 more 10 mils. That's good. Final little nip. And then the final rail is actually the side wall of the TPM box as well, but it goes on just the same as the MT. It goes like that. And 4 more of the 10 mils. And there we have it. All 3 TPM levers in place, all moving smoothly with a really nice bit of friction. Time to run the wires. So we're up to step 21 now, and we're going to run the throttle wires. So these are the throttle wires, the middle of the 3 sets, and we're going to run them through the hole to the left of the M. So that's this M here. And will they all go in at once? Yeah, they do. So they go like that. And then pull them through. We want just a tiny amount of slack when the throttle is fully in. And then what we want to check is that when we pull the throttle all the way to the other end, we don't get any extra tightening. And then we run these wires through the channel to the left of this rail. And, well, you'll see it when you assemble this. There's quite a spacious little channel in the side here. You watch the wires going through. There we go. And pull them round the side of that little post, like that. And then run them through the 2 channels. Let's get some light on this. And then run them through the 2 channels near the park brake. So that's one of them. And another one is here. And at this point I would recommend stacking them in a neat order and not crossing them over, just to keep everything flush. So I'll put the red, what's sort of at the bottom, the red. So I'll put the red at the bottom, and then the red at the bottom here, like that. And then white next. So this is kind of 1 wire wide, this channel. Okay, nice and easy. Okay, something very similar for step 22. We run the prop wires through this, the same equivalent hole. Take up the slack, but not much tension, and you should be fine for this, that when you pull it other way, that you don't get any tightening, any snagging. So that's just right there. And then another hole on the left hand side, which you can't see, but it'll be obvious when you make it. So there we go. These go through quite easily. You won't have any trouble with this. And then they go through the same channel that the other wires go through. I'm going to put these over the top of the previous ones because they're going to stack above the wires when they go through the other channels. So just push that down there, slide them over the top. Okay, what we don't want is any slack around here. And then these same 2 channels here. You see that now? Like that. And there you go. The order doesn't matter, so don't worry about the order. Just try and avoid too much twisting and wrapping. Okay, there it is. You just want it to be tidy. Okay, number 23. Fit this ball spring into the park brake recess. Now that, hopefully you can see it, is that little hole there. And it goes in like this. And now for some reason this is quite a tight fit for me, but it does go in. Just press it in and make sure it goes snugly down till the lip of it sits on that little black ledge there. So that's 23. For 24 we're going to fit this micro switch to this buffer. That's what I call the buffer anyway. Just familiarise yourself, it's got some dimples on the bottom. They're going to slide over that ball spring in fact. And the switch goes like this with the dimples underneath. Hold the buffer like that, dimples underneath. The hinge of the leaf spring at the bottom. Like that. Okay? And then we're going to fit 7 centimeters each of yellow and black wire to those legs. So it's the same mechanism with these little things as before. And 7 centimeters is not very much. It's about the distance between these holes on the posts. So that's what we need. And it's the same system as before. Just pull a bit off with your fingernail. Slide one of these on. Lots of light, as I recommended last time. And hinge over the wire is still, I think, a good technique. Like this. Doesn't matter which black goes to, I'll put it at the bottom. Slide it over. In fact, the way these legs are, they're a little fatter than the Hall sensors, so when you press these on, they should stay on fairly well. And then drop it in like that. And you need your flat screwdriver again to give these a good old crush. And will they stay snug? Yep, that feels pretty pretty snug. Now carefully, without pulling the wires off the legs, feed them through the little holes here. It may help just to put a little kink in the end, so that as they pop out, they kind of negotiate that corner better. There we go. Pull them down like that. Okay. And now we fit this buffer lid, which goes on that way with the slopey side to the right. 2 of these long M2 screws, well, 12mm long anyway. You might need just to sort of wiggle this switch a little bit and the lid just to line up the holes. There we go. I think I'll get one of those screws in first before the other one. Just see the holes? Yep, they're lined up. And that should clamp down the switch very snugly. So now the switch is nice to clamp down, but also that little lip there is gripping the wires nice and secure, so we shouldn't have any trouble with those coming out. Okay, let's put the park brake together now. So slide the park brake shaft, that's this, it's the final 100mm screw with the hex head, and screw that over or through the bush like that. And then press that hex head into the lozenge shaped lever and screw in that shaft, and that, yeah, nice and snug. And that's all it takes to put that together. And now we feed this through here. That's the park brake, through the park brake bush. Screw it onto this buffer. You want it so that the leaf, the pointy bit of the leaf is uppermost, the dimples are underneath. And I'll drop that down over the ball spring so that this should just screw in to the buffer. So we keep on tightening it, and what we're looking for is, you can press in now, you can feel that there's 2 positions because of the ball spring. There's the pulled out position and there's the in position. And when it's at the in position, we don't want any gap here. So we can just go another couple of twists. That feels good. That's closed the gap. That's the in position. That's the out position. Perfect. Okay, we're up to step 29 now. We are going to shorten these wires. Generally try and avoid shortening wires, but it's important here that we don't have a lot of slack and end up sort of catching wires in some of the mechanism. So we're not going to worry about the yellow and the black. They're pretty good already. Let's put them through the hole there. And we won't bother with these three for the moment. Let's just pop those through here and stay focused, because we're going to start with this bunch here, this bunch of 6 wires. So we take the black one, hold it over the end of the case here, double it back and just snip it with just a little bit more. Okay, and that's the length we're looking for. So take all of the other wires and snip them to the same length. Okay, step 30. We're going to join these 2 red wires with this red wire and with a 4th red wire. Now, it doesn't need to be long, quite short. In fact, the piece I just chopped off from the longer one there, that's going to be sufficient. It's about 7 centimeters, about the distance between these 2 holes, these 2 screw holes here. And the way you join them is that you strip off with your finger a good sort of 3/4 of an inch. And we do the same on the others. 1/2 inch is probably enough. And give everything a good twist. And then twist them all together. Okay, so there we go. Those are all 4 red wires, all nicely twisted together. And then what I recommend you do is make a little kind of crook with them. A nice tight little loop. Make it a clockwise loop. Then you need your PH1 screwdriver bit and one of these flange head M3 screws. And hold that little loop over the left-hand hole of these 2 black posts so that you can screw in that flange screw, and there we go, that should tighten up very nicely. Now we're going to do something very similar with the black. I'm trying to avoid twisting wires too much, so I'm going to thread that black under there. We've got another black here, and we need another piece of black. So again, strip a little off, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and twist these together. And again, put a little loop in them. Then we've got another one of these posts that we can fit another flange screw over. Okay, so make sure that grips things very tightly. Yep, those wires are not coming loose. So now we've got 8 wires, and what I'm doing here is I am stripping off about 4 mil of insulation from every one of them, 4 or 5, and twisting them really tightly. So just a little bit with your fingernail, like that. And now, and you'll need to have the part break out to do this. It doesn't quite fit if the part breaks in. You need to take this RJ45 jack and slot it into the case. So it's got to go probably under this red wire here. It goes from the inside and out, and then it just clicks in like that. And when it's in, there's a little lip here, a little latch that is slotted over, and then that little piece there slots over the case. So that is in nice and snug, and then we fold up this little flap, and we're about to fit these 8 wires into those slots. So let's get started. The order, obviously very important, you will get from the wiring diagram. I'll take you through each one at a time, but we start with the red. There's only one red now because we've joined them. A couple of blue wires, I'll show you how to get the right order of those. The black, a couple of white wires, I'll show you the order of those, then the green and the yellow. So let's go for it. So red first. Each time I take one of these wires, I'm going to try and minimize the tangle, and if it feels like unlooping it from somewhere else makes things a bit freer, then I'll do that. Each time I'm going to make sure that these wires have a little twist on them. because the important thing is that we don't have a fray from these wires cross over from one of these channels into an adjacent channel. And you may be able to see from here that there's a little tooth in each channel, and they're sort of offset. So there's one higher, then one a bit lower, and one a bit higher, and one a bit lower. But that tooth and the kind of the metal from it protrudes through the plastic separator, and it may be possible to see that you can also see a little bit of that tooth just inside the adjacent channel. So the thing I'm wary of is that a fray of wire doesn't just connect with the tooth that we're interested in a channel, but might also go a little bit further, say, like in the second channel, and touch the tooth from the first channel. And we can avoid that if we keep the little exposed bit very short and close to the tooth. Now, a good way to put these in is just to hold the wire so that the insulation is just short of the tooth you're interested in. Just sort of give it a tiny press to hold it in place with the screwdriver. And then the clicking down of the lid kind of crunches it in place. And that one there looks very nicely in place. So that was the red for the first one. Now some of you may be thinking, oh, I know how this works. You don't actually strip the wire. What you do is you just put the wire in unstripped so that the insulation goes across the tooth and the tooth cuts into it. Yes, that sometimes works. Maybe it often works. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the tooth doesn't quite cut through the insulation, or maybe sometimes the wire has slid back inside the insulation, so at the point the tooth cuts into it, there isn't any wire there. It's been pulled behind. So that's why I prefer this method. I can see exactly what's happening. I can see contact's been made, and I can see if there's any cross-channel, any crossover to other channels. Right, so that red was an easy one. Right, next is the blue. Now, from the diagram, I can see that the blue is the throttle blue. So the throttle blue is not that blue, that's the mixture blue, so it must be this blue, the one other blue. So let's take that, let's minimize any kind of looping and wrapping, and then just carefully place it just short of that tooth. And again, a second click, a nice satisfying little click there as it presses the blue in. The next blue's easy, there's only one more blue left. So same thing. Now I'll tell you what, that blue's in place fine, but the twist in it is kind of causing it to stick up, and I kind of don't like that. It worries me that when I put the lid on it, it might trap something. It probably won't. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take that off, clean up the end again, get a good twist on it, and put a little twist in it so that instead of sticking up, it wants to go down. I think a slight twist that way, anti-clockwise, seems to achieve what I'm after. So I'll put it in now. Okay, that's lying a bit lower, that's better. And then crunch it in. Still sticks up a bit, but I think that will lie in the right area. Okay, that's the second blue. The next one's the black. That's easy, there's only one black. Now there's two whites, so which white is it? Well, it's this white from the throttle. Next white must be this white from the mixture. And the green. Now I'm not totally happy with that green. It's just a little bit forward of the tooth. So I'm just being super cautious. Possibly a little fray from that green will touch the white from the adjacent channel. So I'm going to reseat it. Push it a little bit closer up to the tooth. That's better. I hope you can see there that where the tooth is from the white, that's insulation from the green at that point. And finally the yellow. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Have a close look there. Nothing seems to be stray or crossing over. Everything looks firmly in place. We can clip the lid down. These wires will sit nicely here. As we push and pull the part brake, nothing snagging. As we pull the mixture, nothing is snagging. So now we're going to put the lid on. You can see there's a post on it. The purpose of the post is to sit on top of that little flap, which makes sure that it won't pop up. It shouldn't do, but it's just an extra bit of security. It doesn't pop up. And it should also help with any potential snagging of these red, blue, white wires, keeps them sort of separated. So that should, so make sure when you put the lid on there isn't any wire sitting over that post. And there isn't, so this will just go on like that. You can feel that it's not catching or lifted. And we screw that down with the shorter, these are the only ones you should have left now, apart from possibly a couple of spares of the 10mm, the shorter 8mm long black screws. So there we have it, a rather good looking, though I say it myself, TPM, and the only thing we need to add now are the side brackets, which will allow you to clamp it to your desk. There's that one on that side and this one over here. If you get them the wrong way round, then this little lip, which should be at the front, would be at the back. So it's easy to get them the right way around. And there are screw holes here and here, and here and here, and they use your last 8mm black countersunk screws. So let's just pop those in now. Now the next step is we're going to assemble the universal hub, which will allow us to connect this to our PC. But let's just check what we have left in the box so far in terms of printed parts. You should have now the universal hub base or case, the lid, this little clamp that goes in here, and you should also have these parts. And these are a replacement knob for the control set that allows you to replace one of these with carb heat. So I thought I'd just take you through that now. So let's say we want to replace the prop lever with a carb heat. So we would unscrew the prop. Takes quite a few turns. Pull it out like that. Take that off. Slide out the bolt. And then we have the carb heat knob itself. Now do you see the little meshes there? That's the same sort of thing we had with the mixture lever. We need to punch those through. So I'll do that with a screwdriver. Okay, and we can pop in the bolt and that should just seat inside there. Now it looks to me, hopefully yours is cleaner than this, but it looks to me as though there's a little bit of kind of stray filament here. I'm just going to pick these away because there's a thread here, a screw thread, and there aren't many threads to it, and if these things are in the way, then they'll kind of stop it working. That should do it. Okay, and then this item here threads onto it. Might take a second just to get the thread started, and then you can use the screwdriver to just turn it in. Now in this case, I'm afraid I found that because of these little stray bits of filament, you perhaps need to spend a little longer cleaning them away. But when I put this on and tried to tighten it with a small screwdriver, couldn't really get enough turn on it. But I found that a fatter screwdriver, the slots there for a fatter one, worked a lot better, and I was able to get that quite snug. Then the final step is this little silvery piece, which again has a little thread on it, and that goes in here, and that should thread on very easily. And there you go, there's your carb heat. So we slide that in and then screw it on. And now we have carb heat instead of prop. And you just have to map it accordingly. Okay, let's build the universal hub. This is a much smaller build. There's the case. I'll just put this light here because this black on black's a little difficult to see, isn't it? Here's the brains of the thing, the BU0836A board, and drop that in here. Sits over these little 4 pegs here. And then this little clamp holds it in place with the help of a 6mm long, so the really short M4 screw. Okay, so that should be fairly snug now. We have one more of these RJ45 sockets. That goes into the second slot here. The first one's reserved for a flight stick. We've got two more of those flange screw heads. One on the right hand side of these three posts. Just make a start on those. We don't tighten them down just yet. One on the left hand side. Now it says strip off around 4mm from all the DuPont wires apart from the red one, which needs about 20mm stripped off. Now if you've got a strip of this, we're not going to strip all of them. We don't need all of them right now. We need a yellow one, a brown one, a grey one, a white one, a black, a purple, and then we need a red one. And note that the red's actually quite a bit shorter. So there should be 8 in total, and you'll have a few left over which you will use, and they'll come in very handy if you're going to add on the gear lever or the magneto starter and other add-ons. So let's just check. There should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I will strip off 4mm from each of these, apart from the red one. I'm actually going to make the red one a bit shorter as well. I'll show you how it's done. In your kit you've got one of these wire strippers. Pop the end of the wire through the smallest of these little grooves. So that it's kind of not much more than, so that it's kind of looking like that. Not much soap poking through. Squeeze that little lever and just twist the wire. And it comes off like that. And then give this a little twist. So do that on all of them. Okay, so those are the 7 which are not the red, and they all look about right. I think this white one, or is it grey? It's a little bit long. I'm just going to take a bit off that. There we go, that's better. And then the red one, I've shortened it to about that length, and I'm now going to strip off about, I don't know, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So those are the wires prepared. Well, I forgot to mention we use a little bit more silicone, but we only need a tiny piece. It's only going to go from here to here, so that sort of length, plus a bit more, because we're going to strip off a chunk for twisting and putting in that post here, and then a tiny bit for going into the RJ45. So what we can do first is make this jointing post here. In fact, it's this one, isn't it? It's the red one on the right. So twist those two together, make a tight loop, slide it under that post, and nip that up. Actually, the left hand one we can nip down now. We don't use it, not in this build, but we will use it when you add on some other components. And we can start by putting the red in the left hand side here, just like we did before. And clip that in. Yep, that goes in very nicely. And then let's start connecting these DuPonts. That's what these things are called. And the first one, it's the bottom row, right hand side. And you see how each of these things has got a silvery bit on one side. Point those silvery bits all in the same direction. I'm going to point them all that way. So there's one, it just pops on like that. And now we'll just go through the rest. Let's go white, blue, let's work our way up like that. That's the white one. So we have to go up 2 rows to the throttle row, which is the third one. So not the next one, but the next one. And it's the middle. There's nothing, see there's 3 columns, nothing's going on the right column now. So it's the third row up and 1 in. And then to the left of it, the blue one. So there's the blue one to the left of it. Okay, let's put all these in and then we'll connect them. So above that we have the grey, and to the left of that the purple. Then the brown, and to the left of that the black. Okay, see how we've got a block of 6 there, they should all snugly be touching. And then the yellow, well, the easiest way to find the yellow is to go from the top It's the fourth down on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Okay, now let's connect these into the RJ45. So the next one's the blue, and the same as before, hold it just to the teeth and not short of the teeth, and being careful not to have any frayed bits. So like that, and then click it down. Purple next, like that, and click it down. Black, white, grey, and the yellow. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now what you can do now is put the lid on and fasten it down with the remaining M4 6mm long countersunk screws, or you could actually leave the lid off in case it doesn't work, and then you can quickly look at things and check. But I'll be a little confident here and I will put the lid on. Okay, and that is the universal hub assembled. The standard hub doesn't include this plate, by the way. I mean, normally I just use a kind of Dymo thing and make little stickers. That's an optional thing. If you have a printer, you can go and get the free download for it and put it on there. And in fact, depending on the aircraft you've got, you might change some things, mightn't you, to say, I mean, that's magneto starter instead of engine 2 and so on. So that's just a cosmetic thing. For now though, you've only got one socket, so it's not really a problem anyway. And when we add a magneto starter, and when we add a gear lever and so on, then yeah, use some dymos or something like that. So this really is the moment of truth, isn't it? We've got a completed TPM, we've got our universal hub, and let's plug it in. Now you should have a couple of cables if you got the kit from SimKit Supplies, or you've just bought the parts that I've recommended. One of them is an Ethernet cable, and that will connect your universal hub to your TPM. Now I always recommend plugging the Ethernet in before you plug the universal hub into the PC. It just means that the circuit board in here knows what it's connecting to and can sort of set it up before it starts sending signals to the PC, otherwise it can just get a little bit confused. Right, and then we have a regular USB cable, and this is one of the great things about AuthentiKit. It's one cable. I mean, sometimes we find ourselves running out of USB inputs, don't we? And it's just one. So when you add on a gear lever and you add on the starter magneto and all that stuff, it's just still one input. Right, here we go. So let's plug it in, and yeah, we should hear that reassuring ping pong sound. And what I will do here is I will type in joy.cpl, and that's a quick way of launching game controllers, or you can go through Windows and just do game controllers. And what we're pleased to find here is AuthentiKit. Now there's a step here that you'll need to do because you've assembled this by hand, and there are just sort of minor variations in the position of those teeth, the way they meshed and so on. You need to run a calibrate. So the way you do that is you go to AuthentiKit, and in this game controllers, and we click properties. And first of all, let's get the reassurance of, yeah, X is the mixture. I always remember the X in mixture, and then Z is throttle, Z for zoom, that's how I remember it, and prop is Y, so fabulous. Now if you don't see those three bars when you hit properties, I'd recommend unplugging the USB. Quick-ish, no panic, but quick-ish, in case you've got something shorted or some kind of problem with the Hall sensors and you can be kind of cooking them a little bit. In my experience, the circuit board is very robust. I've never known one of those get damaged, even with miswiring, and very rare that the Hall sensors are a problem. Oh, there's one more thing, isn't there? Part break. Let's see what happens as we... Yeah, number 3. Button 3 is coming on with the part break. Okay, so the calibration. This is how we do the calibration. What you need to do is go settings and then hit calibrate, and we start a calibration wizard. Now the first thing it's looking for, it's trying to test the flight stick, which we don't have. That would be the thing it would do next. but we will not worry about that. We'll just hit next. And now we're going to calibrate the throttle, Z for zoom. I recommend switching on raw data because this will tell us a few things. Now it's high resolution, the whole sense, so we're doing throttle first, Z for zoom. So as I pull this out, yeah, we're seeing plenty, absolutely loads. Don't worry about the blue bar. What matters is that we're going from a range of 900 and whatever up to 3,400. So that's a lot of resolution in that range there. You know, a couple of thousand positions in between. So that is the max and the min set. That's great. We hit next. X for mixture. That's 2,900 going down to 830. So there's loads of resolution there. Max and min, that's set. And then again the prop, 2,400 down to 1,000. Still lots of resolution in there. That's the max and the min. Next, finish. And now you should see all the bars to the right, and as we pull them out, you see a nice smooth travel. Very nice. Same for throttle. Yep, all the way to the bottom. Just what we want to see. And mixture, beautiful. And that's it, calibrated and working. Just connect that up to Microsoft Flight Simulator and away you go. I'll just put a screenshot on to follow this of the settings that you need in Microsoft Flight Simulator. These are pretty obvious: throttle, proper mixture settings, connecting to the axes. I'll show you which park brake option you want. It's not a toggle, it's the on-off option, and I'll flash that up on the screen now. And all that leaves me to say, guys, is happy flying. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see the next stage on this, which is going to be, yeah, why don't I show you the next stage, the add-on of the magneto and the starter. So we've got a lovely, nice little clicking action there. And the start button, nice tactile, good pressure on that. That needs a little bit of work, but that's not far off. That will bolt on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we're looking for carb heat and primer. And I've already shown you, haven't I? 3-position gear switch, which is a lovely thing to have the 3 positions. So that's something that is close to being ready as well, and that will bolt underneath. So like I say, stay tuned, please subscribe. Also, if you have any problems, join our Discord, or here's a link in the description and on the screen at the moment, the place where you got the download from. There is a section in there for support and a forum section where you can talk about any issues you've had doing the assembly, share any tips you've had, and get some help with it. So I'm going to leave you there, folks. Have fun flying with this TPM, and I look forward to bringing you some more AuthentiKit just as soon as I can. Bye for now.